That means, and this is particularly for all the people who are quiet by nature, and everyone tells them you're too quiet, you need to speak louder, we can't hear you. Or they go to a meeting and they get talked over. Or in the classroom, nobody hears them because they are always that quiet one, busy doing their work, their head is down, and they hope that their hard work will be noticed, that it will speak for itself. But we know that in life,
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and grow together. Today we're joined by Serena Low, a trauma-informed coach for introverts and the host of the Quiet Warrior podcast. Serena has dedicated her life to empowering quiet achievers, helping them find their voice and shine in a world that often favors the loud. Her thoughtful insight reminds us that strength can be found in stillness. Let's dive into Serena's journey and discover the wisdom that has inspired her along the way. Tell me your name and what you do.
my name is Serena Low. I work with introverts and quiet achievers to become quiet warriors.
Okay. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is that we can be born quiet achievers, but we can rise up to become quiet warriors.
Quiet warriors. Okay. We can wait. What I'm looking at right now is quite different from what you say. I mean, it's the same. What I'm looking at is be the quiet achiever who can be a quiet warrior when something bigger is at stake. What does that mean?
That means, and this is particularly for all the people who are quiet by nature, and everyone tells them you're too quiet, you need to speak louder, we can't hear you. Or they go to a meeting and they get talked over. Or in the classroom, nobody hears them because they are always that quiet one, busy doing their work, their head is down, and they hope that their hard work will be noticed, that it will speak for itself. But we know that in life, when you go out to work in the corporate space, in a corporate culture, usually it is biased in favor of those with louder personalities, with a lot more confidence, people who dare to speak up. Whether or not they actually say something sensible is a separate question. The impression that they give people, because they are loud and quick and the first one to talk, is that they must know something more. So what happens with a quiet achiever is that it makes them shrink even more. And they compare themselves to these other people and they look at them and they think, oh, I could never be like that. I'm born this way. I've always been a quiet achiever. So my invitation is that is actually not true. We all start off as the quiet achiever, but we have the option and the opportunity to rise up and become a quiet warrior. And usually that's to do with something out there that's bigger than ourselves. So if you ask a quiet person to promote themselves, they can't do it. But if they have something bigger to focus on, if it's for somebody else, that's when they find their courage.
You said the word quiet warrior. Can you give me a scenario of what that actually means? Because right now, like the words are simple, but like I really don't have an idea what you're talking about.
So,
Yeah.
for example, somebody who's normally quiet, who doesn't want to say very much because they don't want people to look at them. But if they meet somebody else who needs help, if they meet somebody who doesn't have a voice for whatever reason, and they realize if I don't speak up for this person's problem is not going to be solved. Nobody's going to notice them. Nobody's going to help them. So that's when the quiet achiever has the opportunity to become the quiet warrior. That's when they find their courage and they find their voice, and they're doing it on behalf of somebody else.
Oh, I see. So being a quiet achiever is fighting. In a way, it's like, trying to attain whatever success might be for you, right? And then being a quiet warrior is being a voice, fighting or doing whatever the scenario or the case might be to help someone else other than yourself.
Yes, usually when it's for something bigger, a bigger cause or a bigger purpose, that's when the quiet achiever becomes motivated to speak up and to be more visible.
Oh. Why do I feel, right? I'm looking at the quote right now, where I feel that we could remove the word quiet from the both ends. Be the achiever who can be a warrior when something bigger is at stake. I mean,
You could, but it's because the people I work with primarily are quiet
yeah,
people. So they resonate
yeah,
with that. They always see themselves as introverts, the quiet one.
yeah. I get it. Yeah, be the quiet achiever who can be a quiet warrior when something bigger is at stake. So uh, we say something bigger. What's the framework for knowing if it's something bigger or if it's just what's the word, rigmarole, theatrics or something else?
A framework?
Yeah,
What
like what's the framework for us to tell that, oh no, this is something that I should become a quiet warrior towards. I should take up and say, oh, I should fight for, and not just something that, oh, ignore. It's not really important.
Yes. So the question I always ask myself is for what purpose? If the opportunity comes to you and you are invited to maybe do some public speaking or say a few words or be in the limelight, ask yourself for what purpose am I doing this speaking? Is it just for me to promote myself? That's okay. But that's where, if you are a quiet achiever, you would say, I don't want to promote myself. But if you ask me to go on stage and say a few words to help somebody else, to help a group, to help a charity, to help a particular group that's marginalized, maybe to bring some attention to this particular cause, then I will do that.
Oh, okay. What's the purpose? So it's more like Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like Simon
Uh,
Sinek says, start with
yeah.
why. And your
Yeah.
why is linked to your values. So your values wisdom would be different from somebody else's values,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you need to
I
go
mean,
back and know what your own values are.
yeah. I want us to step back a bit. You mentioned the word quiet, and that itself is intriguing me. And I'm curious. I want to know what's this quiet stuff. It's a word I'm familiar with, but now the context in which you use it, it's new to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, quiet achiever, a quiet warrior. Uh, am I a quiet achiever? I know you say, oh, I don't know you yet.
I think
How
you
do I
can
know if
answer
I'm a
that better
quiet achiever?
yourself.
How do I know?
If, how do you know? You will know
Mm.
if, for instance, at school, you are always the one who doesn't really speak up in class, but you're always doing your work. You're very focused, very detail oriented. You follow the rules, you do all the right things, but you don't like to be in the limelight. You don't like people looking at you, putting you on stage, making you say things. You don't want the attention. But you also hope that
Mm.
people will notice that you are producing good work. And the teacher
Yeah.
knows, right? Who are the loud ones and who are the quiet achievers? The quiet achievers are usually the ones busy doing the work, not talking, not chatting, not saying a lot of things, not drawing attention to themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, it makes sense. For a short while, we're using so many quiet that even I was like, we should use something else. Can we not say the word quiet? Because quiet, 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 quiet. And now I understand what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Be a quiet achiever who can be a quiet warrior when something bigger comes up. And start with why. You should ask yourself why. And what's the word I want to use? Sometimes, in a way, because now we're talking about quiet achievers. Sometimes, especially if the kind of work you're doing doesn't require you to be amongst certain kind of people, right? Let's say if you're working in a corporation, you have to be with your colleagues and all that. But if you're not working in a corporation where you're just doing your own freelancing thing, in your in your living room, and that's like remote work and everything, in that context, how would one really see or find, because it's nice, it's important, not nice, it's important to be a quiet warrior. It's not just, it's not a nice to have, it's something that's really important. How do we um find ourselves being quiet warriors? So with the way the world is happening, a lot of times people are just cut off from the world itself. So they're alone. They're just there.
What is the question that you are asking me? You mean how do they, if they are working on their own, how do they connect with other people
How do they
as a
find
quiet person?
how do they find something bigger
How do you
to
find
fight
something
for?
bigger?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
when you pay attention to your surroundings, to what other people are saying, to what the world needs from you, to what your community needs from you, to what other people are saying, I need help in this area, even if it's just helping one person, that also is answering that call for purpose. Because it's always, I think we're surrounded by all these invitations and opportunities. The question is, which one is the right one to say yes to? Do I have the bandwidth right now? Do I have the courage? Do I have the, does it fit my values if I were to say yes to this thing?
Yeah, because most persons they can't remember when last they actually did something that wasn't for themselves, right?
Could you
And
ask that again?
it's I said most persons they cannot remember the last time they did something that was not for themselves.
Ah,
And so it's not like they don't want to help, but it's just right. It's more like how do we create a system where we put ourselves in a place that it enables us, it encourages us to always help to understand not just because usually people I said I was giving that whole explanation. I was like, that people are cut off from the world and all that. And so they they have to go out of their way, and which is important, but you know they'll do it the first time and then the second time, and after some time they fall back to the normal state, which is just live your life, just be your quiet stuff, just chase what you want to chase, and that's it. And probably maybe they don't keep that much friends, or even if they have friends it's probably online, and they live in an area where they're just on their own.
I think that's the importance of having a community and having a support network so that you can be part of that kind of energy with other people who share your kind of vision, your kind of spirit, your kind of goals. So when we try to do it all by ourselves, we're going to say it's too much. I don't have the bandwidth for this today. I'm too tired. I'm just busy with my own job, my own commitments. But when you are in a community of people like yourself who think the same way, you give each other the energy to do something together. And I find it's much easier when I'm working with a group of other people and we are doing something and we're contributing to something together and building something together. And sometimes it can be a very small thing. It can be, let's say you're on social media scrolling, and then you see a comment from, somebody posted something and shared their heart and shared that they are, feeling sad or feeling down or they're in some kind of trouble. It's not difficult to just post something encouraging in reply to that thing, and then you just keep going with your day. Or sometimes we get a little nudge, a friend's name or mind, something comes to your mind and you think about this friend and you haven't talked with them for a really long time. It doesn't take you 2 minutes to just send a text and say, hey, how are you going? I just thought of you and I just wanted to check in with you. That's all it takes, 2 minutes, and it could mean a lot to that person because we don't know what other people are going through. So as soon as that name comes to mind, just do it. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be hard.
I like that you give that example because, we started earlier on with the word bigger, and for most people, like, yeah, I mean, I would have done something bigger, but I'm looking for something really big. I'm waiting maybe if I see an opportunity to cure cancer or something really big that will change the world. And now you say, oh, it's baby steps. I mean, we have to first do the little bit before we can do the big things and all that. As much as possible, we should try every day to find little ways we can just make someone else day or life better.
Yes, start small. Start with where you are.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Serena, for sharing your favorite quote with me and helping me make sense of it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. If people want to learn more about you and what you do, where can they do that?
Well, a good place would be to start with my podcast, the Quiet Warrior podcast. And that's where I
Oh,
talk about all the ways that introverts and quiet achievers can be more courageous, can be more bold, can be more visible without having to act like extroverts.
okay. Thank you so much. Do you have a website?
I do have a website, yes,
Okay.
serenalow.com.au.
Okay. Okay. serenalow.com.au. Yeah. Australia. Yeah, once again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and thanks for, you know, reminding me that as much as you talked about quiet, but that I should be the achiever that's who can stand up who can be the warrior, or when something bigger comes up. I know I removed the quiet, but I'm just allowing it to fit my own needs. Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Serena.
You're very welcome, Wisdom.
Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, staying curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.